I learned Spanish in 30 days. Actually, it's 35 days. I said 30 because you know, it sounds better. Just like bread tastes better than key. But first, a disclaimer. I learned Spanish like 4 years ago, so this video is basically a recap of what I remember. But trust me, I don't have a memory of a goldfish. It started when I was watching his polyglot videos on YouTube.
It means thank you. ขอบคุณครับ
Back in 2021 and 2022, during and after the pandemic, many people learned foreign languages, and of course, Spanish was on the list. Why, you might ask? Based on so many sources, Spanish is one of the easiest languages to learn for English speakers. The reason is very simple. Spanish is a Romance language, and Romance languages like French and Latin influenced English a lot. So, day one of learning, I opened Duolingo and started my first lesson. It was tricky because every verb changes forms depending on who's doing it. The more lessons I took, I started to understand how they work. It's consistent. The verb changes to O if I am doing it, S if you are doing it, and I if someone is doing it. Simple, right? Definitely. On the first day, I learned to enjoy just myself. Well, not really, but I could say, Hola, soy Ricus, un café por favor. Day 2. I did the same thing. I opened Duolingo and started grinding for like an hour until I felt bored. But there's something different this time. I started watching Spanish videos and songs to immerse myself better. I watched the same polyglots I mentioned earlier and listened to a few popular songs like Nuestra Canción and Colapso. Here, I learned more verbs. I learned to say something like Hola, vives en Madrid? My Spanish definitely got better. Right? Day 3, again, Duolingo for an hour in Spanish media. I don't know about new Duolingo, but all Duolingo had is stories you could roleplay in and talk to the mascots. I remember taking a cafe story. I didn't record anything, so let me just, reconstruct and show you how it went. Hola, ¿qué quieres? Quiero un café, por favor. ¿Con o sin leche? Con leche, por favor. Está bien. Gracias. So yeah, that was the first day I started talking in Spanish, although the condition was controlled, but that was enough to convince me not to stop. You see, apart from being consistent, I think motivation is just as important. Here's a simple analogy I have: consistency is like fuel to a car, and motivation is like turbo. Since day 4, there's nothing special until around day 10. I did the same thing over and over again. Grinding on Duolingo, consuming Spanish media, and role-playing in Spanish. Grinding on Duolingo, consuming Spanish media, and role-playing in Spanish. Grinding on Duolingo, consuming Spanish media, and role-playing in Spanish. And repeat that. I actually loved everything. I enjoyed the process, and that was the most important thing ever. You can go as far as you possibly can if you love the process. So, was there any progress at all? Obviously, yeah. I learned more words and grammar. Now I could say, El café y el agua están en la escuela. Also, yes, I discovered that there are more than 3 conjugations. There are 5 including mos and en. Here's a simple chart if you need it. O if I do it. S if you do it. Mos if we do it. N if they do it. And R if he or she does it. Simple, right? Yep, the present tense is simple. Starting from day 11, I started to use Duolingo less and less. I only used it for less than an hour. Why? I'm not sure either. It's probably because Duolingo started to feel boring for some reason. Well, it's repetitive. I think Duolingo is only good if you're getting started because it teaches you basic grammar, vocabulary and speaking relatively quickly early on. But instead of stopping to learn Spanish just because I started to use Duolingo less, what I did was I started to consume more and more Spanish media so I could immerse myself even better. My speed in learning words slowed down, but my grammar and speech started to improve. Why? Immersion. Day 12? It's the same. I used Duolingo for less than an hour and consumed a lot of Spanish media. I would listen to songs and analyze the meaning. Watch polyglots speak Spanish. Well, every common thing you can think of. Honestly, to me, this way was more fun than Duolingo because I felt like I am a language analyst. And just so you know, this feeling is insane once you learn to unlock more and more grammatical features. But then again, from day 13 to 25, nothing was special. I would use Duolingo for less than an hour and consume Spanish media, except I also started to use Duolingo even less. Of course, I learned new things, especially new words. I could now say real sentences in Spanish, like Bebo una taza de café en mi baño sin amigos. Alright, it's maybe imperfect, but that day I was so proud of myself because I could say that. Alright? To be honest with all of you, after that day, I stopped learning Spanish completely. Then, 4 years later in late 2025, I started to learn it again, inconsistently. And so, day 26, I hopped on Roblox and joined maps that supported voice chats. Guess what I did? You're never gonna guess it. Come on, guess it. Wrong! I looked for Spanish speakers to talk to them. Now here, I wanna reconstruct the conversation from memory, but it's not gonna be perfect. But I'll try my best to remember as much as I possibly can. It went like this. Hola. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien. ¿Y tú? Bien. Gracias. ¿De dónde eres? Colombia. ¿Y tú? Soy de Indonesia. Es más difícil para comunicar contigo, pero porque no hablo mucho de español. Claro, sí. ¿Sabes sobre de Kevin Carr? Oh, sí. Yo sé de Kevin Carr. ¿Qué es tu canta favorita? Mi canta favorita de Kevin Carr es algo. Un placer. Quiero ver. I wanna go. I wanna find, more people to talk to. Sí, sí. Adios. Adios. So, this 26 was a stepping stone because it was a day I actually got to speak Spanish in real time. Well, it was basic, but at least I did it. It would have been embarrassing if I failed. I did the same thing until day 30. I kept talking to Spanish speakers online. Aside from that, I was also learning Filipino at the same time. If you would like me to talk about it, you can just comment down below. This is the end. Kind of. I mentioned learning Spanish for 35 days. The last 5 days weren't special. I was just learning grammar. I never really mentioned the past or continuous tenses, right? Because I never really learned them. It was until day 31 that I started to learn them. So now I can speak Spanish to some extent, but I'm not fluent yet. Well, let's just be real. It's impossible to become fluent in a language in just 30 days. Pues, si estás curioso sobre mi español, voy a hablar un poco de español ahora. Mira, esto es mi español. No es perfecto, pero es suficiente para mí. O sea, si quiero trabajar en España o México, no es suficiente, pero puedo comunicar y hacer amigos con mi español. Pues es suficiente para mí, porque no quiero trabajar o vivir en México o España o Latinoamérica. Yeah.